What's up guys, this is Darkbblue, a gamer who loves Souls-like games, looter games, and every game that involves build making. So as a player who has zero experience in CRPGs and only starts playing Rogue Trader because of the love for Warhammer 40k, I do find this game quite challenging. It's common that my whole team is almost killed, but with some rethinking of my failures, I have figured out the best way to play this game. Now let me share with you how to turn Rogue Trader into the easy mode. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Now let's dive right into it. So first of all, I want to make it clear that Rogue Trader is all about stacking stats. That's the key to victory, and it is also the first takeaway of this video. Then how do stats in Rogue Trader work? To put it simply, it's a two-stage mechanic. In the first stage, you have basic stats called characteristics, such as toughness, strength, and willpower. Characteristics are further converted into secondary stats, which are divided into combat and non-combat ones. If we look at combat stats, what you really want to care about is characteristics divided by 10. They are called bonus. For example, both 50 and 55 strength are 5 strength bonus. Such bonuses are used to calculate miss, parry, dodge, damage, and everything you care about in a combat. And for non-combat stats, characteristics are converted into some stats called skills. They are this persuasion, commerce, coercion, and more. Now you know what stats are in Rogue Trader, the next question is how to stack them. The first approach comes to your mind, I guess, is leveling up characters. Let's see how it works. For example, after picking up every upgrade in the warrior archetype, I have got 10 weapon skill and 10 strength for my Rogue Trader, which is very limited. But there's a different approach. You can stack buffs in combat. My Rogue Trader has Biomancer power and can buff himself with 10 strength and 10 toughness. And any raider can give him 10 dodge, 10 parry, 10 weapon skill, and 10 ballistic skill. Then my Rogue Trader has a talent to get 5 toughness per psychic buff, which turns out to be 10 in total. Note that all these buffs last until the end of the battle, which is virtually forever. The bonus I get from these buffs is even greater than the benefit of leveling up the character from 1 to max, so we can conclude that stacking buff is much more efficient than simply leveling up characters. And that's the second takeaway of this video. Stacking buff is the way to stack stats. For a deeper understanding of buff, let me explain it in detail. Personally, I divide buff into 3 types. Buff to characteristics, buff to secondary stats, and buff to the conversion rate. Remember that combat stats work in a two-stage fashion. First you have characteristics, and then they are converted into miss, dodge, parry, etc. The first group of buff bonuses characteristics, and the second group directly gives bonus to secondary stats. But what about the third group? Let's see an example and you will understand. So by default, toughness has nothing to do with your damage. However, warrior has a talent that after getting hit, your next attack to this guy who hit you will do bonus damage equal to your toughness bonus. In this way, the conversion rate from toughness to damage goes from 0 to 100%, and this is what buff to conversion rate means. In another instance, warrior has an ability to do extra damage equal to half of your strength. So this increases the conversion rate from strength to damage from 100% to 150%. Of course, the division of buff types does not necessarily indicate how strong they are. They are all good options and there's no reason to reject any given buff. I just want to illustrate the mechanic of buff. So far, you only need to remember 2 takeaways. Stacking stats is the key to this game, and stacking buff is how you want to do it. Next, I want to show something more advanced. I'm not entirely sure of this, so this is only a preliminary introduction. So basically, you can stack all buffs linearly. This can work, but it's definitely not the best. With some well-designed rotation, you can get much more bonus than their plain sub. For instance, stacking many buffs but only being able to hit once per turn is so annoying. So you can get an officer in your team and use Bring It Down to grant your damage character an extra turn. Hitting for one more time roughly equals to doubling all the buff. Instead of simply stacking buff, this approach actually makes you benefit more from the same buff. So basically, 3 officers mean the easy mode. In my opinion, stacking buff linearly is very simple. The only thing preventing you from doing it is that you don't know you should do it. However, such advanced rotations do need some thinking and design, and are what I think a good build video should be focusing on. All in all, let's have a final recap. First, stack stats, and second, stack stats by stacking buff. Now you will find Rogue Trader much easier. If you like my story or want to join me into depths of games, remember to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, see you around.